In the last hours, breaking news in the prosecution of Brian Kohberger. Brian Kohberger facing trial in the murders of 4 beautiful, young University of Idaho students. In the last hours, we are hearing reports that the 2 surviving roommates, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Frank, were actually awake and texting each other during the murders of their roommates. I find that really hard to believe. Now, the case has been shrouded in secrecy, and there's a reason for that. The prosecution or the defense has no duty to the world, to us, to anyone interested in the case, online sleuthers, legal eagles, no duty to us at all to give us the facts. However, when facts are leaked, it becomes a problem. Now, in this case, I understand that the victim's parents, the Gonsalves family, has said there's no truth to this at all. The leak says the information is coming from one of the grand jurors who says that the 2 survivors were awake and texting each other during the attacks. I once had a judge, Luther Alverson, one of the greatest trial judges that ever lived. He would tell the jury as they went into deliberations, it is your duty to make all witnesses speak the truth and impugn perjury on no one. What did that mean? It's your duty to make all witnesses speak the truth and impugn perjury on no one. It's your duty, jurors, to try to make sense of what you're hearing and go into it believing everyone is telling the truth, even if they're seemingly inconsistent. So here we have a leak, which I find very sus, from a grand juror stating that these 2 surviving roommates, these girls, these traumatized victims who survived, were texting about it during the murders. I find that really hard to believe. Mr. Gonsalves is saying that's absolute fiction. Could it be they were texting right before they went to bed? That's entirely possible. This will all be sorted out when this case ever goes to trial. But I want to talk about something else we've learned. We have learned that the state is doubling down on Amazon orders. Amazon orders by Brian Kohberger, particularly when he ordered the knife and sheath 7 months prior to the murders. They don't just want that order or the information or the picture that Amazon presents of what you're ordering. They want it all. They want a meal kit. They want every click. Why do they want every click Kohberger made? Because, according to another expert, your clicks reveal your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. Now, that was stated by Chris McDonough of the Interview Room, former homicide detective. Your clicks reveal your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. With me, Tara Malik, high-profile lawyer, joining us out of that jurisdiction in Idaho, partner at Smith and Malik, and a mobile device forensic expert, Lee Reber. Now listen to this. He's the author of Mobile Forensic Investigations. I have to have that book, Mobile Forensic Investigations. Everything you can learn about mobile forensics. We're talking about Stingray devices that cops use that just like get a huge data dump. You know, they drive through your neighborhood and they're picking up all this information on a portable Stingray device. It's amazing. Everything about your car nav system, your phone, your laptop, your Sirius XM. Yes, Sirius pitches a fit. They fight it tooth and claw. But their information about when you turn on your Sirius radio in your car, even what you're listening to, can be subpoenaed. They fight it, but they will be forced to hand it over if it exists. Between Tara and Lee, we're going to figure something out. We're going to do it right now. First of all, where should I start? Tara Malik, the click reveals your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I thought that, I actually laughed when Chris McDonough said that. But he's right. McDonough was right. Your clicks reveal your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions.
Yeah, I think he's exactly right. I mean, this, in particular with the Kohberger situation, I can see exactly why the prosecution wants to know what he was browsing on the internet and what he was looking for on Amazon. He ended up buying a knife on Amazon, the sheath that was found at the scene of the crime. It's that K-bar knife that's been talked about, I think, pretty exhaustively in all sorts of media and reports. We want to know what he was buying. Is he looking at dark clothing? Is he looking at face coverings? That would corroborate parts of the prosecution's theory of the case, and as well as corroborate one of the witnesses one of the roommates who was still alive, who saw a masked intruder coming in. So they're trying to connect the dots and figure out what all is out there, and is there information in his Amazon searches, in the products that he was browsing and looking at, that are similar to the facts they know and they can elicit and get out from other witnesses as well.
Tara Malik, now I know why you're a high-profile lawyer. That was a mouthful, and I mean that in a good way, and right on point. To be a great trial lawyer, you have to marshal your thoughts. And I remember when I would write appeals and when I would make arguments to the jury, I'd say, okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4 happened. Let's talk about 1. 1 is true because 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2 is true because 5, 6, 7, 8. You have to be methodical in your presentation because it can get very confusing. Okay, Lee Reber, I want to talk about the clicks. How do they see the clicks? Not just what you ordered and the date you ordered it. We know he ordered the knife and the sheath together from Amazon. Oh, and they're also fighting for PayPal. Wait, not PayPal. They're fighting for Apple. Yeah, it may be PayPal. They're fighting for all of his purchases and all of his clicks. I mean, Lee Reber, what do we find out? He's clicking for surveillance equipment or for, downloading spy software on his colleagues' phones or their laptops. We don't know what they're finding.
Yeah, Nancy, if you think about it, Amazon, I mean, your own personal experience, you go to Amazon and you see recently viewed, right? It shows on the bottom the recently viewed item. You might not have purchased it, but you went and, you went to either that page, you viewed it, you might have searched for it. It might give you some that are related to that. And then, so it's not just your purchases, right? It's your browsing, really the history.
So they can see everything that you even looked at. I mean, of course they can. Wait a minute. Because when you're buying something on Amazon, and I don't mean to pick on Amazon, it's just easy. It's a good example. They show you your browsing history. So if they can pull up your browsing history, certainly a team of forensics experts like yourself can pull up your browsing history, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's it. Whatever you see on the screen, obviously, is going to be available digitally. If you search, if you're going to send a search warrant and it gets that, the browsing history, what was purchased. Think of, even another website, a case that I worked where they happened to purchase duct tape, a shovel, and zip ties.
Oh, wait, I just went into prosecution heaven. What? Who? What?
Right. It was on a Walmart, and it just happened to be on their phone.
Wait. Stop. Number 1, slow down. Okay? The rest of us are just mere mortals, Lee Reber. Your case, what did you find?
Yeah. It was a search history on a mobile device. They used a browser. They went to Walmart.com and happened to, search for a shovel, duct tape, and zip ties.
You know how
And
happy
just
you
so
just
happened
made
that
me.
they
And so
did.
it was a murder case, right?
It was. And it just so happened that that's what was utilized, obviously at the crime scene. But, it really comes down to everyone's habits. We all use, internet. We all do browsing. And then now you go and you take with, say, the text messages or, within a vehicle, the infotainment centers or navigation. There's so much digital evidence.
Wait.
It just comes down to.
You just reminded me of something.
Yeah.
When you said nav system, you had a brilliant point about Kohberger's Elantra. You know, that white Elantra we were all looking for? Okay, wait for it. Tara Mallet, you would do a backflip if your client. The alibi that the defense attorney, Ann Taylor, and I'm not faulting her for this. I fault her for even representing him. How can you look at yourself in the face and based on what we know so far, and yes, I know he's not convicted yet, what we know so far, the evidence is incriminating. I mean, how do you stand in front of a jury and say all that is a lie? I don't know. But that said, she's put out an alibi, and the alibi is that Brian Kohberger likes to take long drives alone at night. Alone, operative word alone, Tara, because otherwise he'd have to pull up a witness, goes, yeah, we go on long drives at night. So there's no witness. That's convenient, Tara, isn't it?
Oh, so convenient. Really, really convenient. I mean, I think... And
it has to be late at night, Tara Malik, because if it were during business hours, then, he might stop at a 7-Eleven or a Crystal and get a hamburger.
Right.
No, it's got to be in the early morning hours where everything's closed, so conveniently there are no witnesses.
Yeah, I think, as far as alibis go, that may be the weakest one I've ever heard. It's an alibi, generally you'll see it in situations where it's like this person was over, at a family party. Here are the 10 witnesses that can testify that he was over at this family party. Not, his alibi is here. His alibi corroborates part of the state's theory of the case, which is Kohberger was on the move. Now he's not going to say he was on the move towards the house to commit these crimes, but you're corroborating the part where it's, yes, he was driving around in a car around town. I mean, it's not like he was unavailable doing something else.
Yeah, I would say there's a witness. The witness is the nav system. That pin is going to be utilized to show that type of travel.
I want to talk about not only the nav system, but the searches, why the clicks are so important. But on the nav system, Lee Reber, you gave me a very interesting and probative, in other words, it proves something, fact. You stated that you knew for a fact the 2000 Elantra, all the way back to 2011 has the nav system, navigation system. Why do I care?
Yeah, I think it's important because we all have, or if you've utilized a navigational system within a car, right, you put a starting point and end point. However, if you don't do that, you ever watched your car just driving along, you haven't put anything in there. Well, it's actually tracking that. It actually can show where you've stopped. It has the computer that's within those cars can show the speed that you've been traveling. So to be honest, if he doesn't even have his phone, right, supposedly, he turned his phone off, which is, again, quite odd. But now you're not able to go and turn that off within the tracking system within the vehicle. So I think it's incredible evidence if they have pulled that data from those vehicles.
The nav system shows everywhere you go, everywhere you stop, but it also shows, as we learned in the prosecution of Alex Murdaugh, it shows when you open your door, your car door, when you put the car in park, when you put the car in drive, Because remember, guys, when the state was putting up the navigational system investigation work product, the state broke it down. Creighton Waters broke it down minute by minute. Okay, he says he was here, he left, he went to his mother, and then the murders occurred. Waters broke down minute by minute. He integrated the cell phone activity between Murdoch's phone, wife Maggie's phone, son Paul's phone. He integrated that with the nav system from, I believe it was a Suburban belonging to Alex Murdaugh. It showed when he got to the car, opened the door and got in, how long he sat there, when he cranked the car up, when he put it in drive, when he took off. It showed where he went and the speed at which he traveled, when he got to his mother's house, when he put it in park, when he got out of the car, when he went supposedly in, how long it was before he came back out, when he put the car in drive and went back to the hunting lodge at Moselle, when he got out of the car and air quotey, found the dead bodies. It's amazing, Lee Reber. Tell it to me like that, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you that in a vehicle, the telemetry, like you said, car doors open, how long they've been open, windows down, everything is recorded. Our vehicles are computered.
I'm glad you said windows down, because many would argue, including me, that the windows went down and Maggie Murdoch's cell phone was thrown out, coincidentally at the time and the location that window was rolled down. It's amazing, right?
Right. Yeah. Now, couple the fact if you have searches for a particular item, these items were located at the scene. You think about DNA always being utilized, but quite honestly, I mean, the digital evidence that is available is tremendous, and I think that is really what should be, and I hope is utilized within for this case.
So what we know is the state, Tara Malik, is demanding from Amazon, it was PayPal, and Apple, so he must do Apple Pay, every single transaction, every click, everything. And frankly, he can't complain about it at trial because he doesn't have standing. He cannot ask for any or all of that information, that electronic digital footprint information. He cannot ask for it to be suppressed. In other words, I say, oh, you broke down my door and you searched my house without a warrant. Well, I have, legal term, standing, because it's my house and my privacy under the Fourth Amendment that you violated, cops. But here, they're getting the information from Amazon, Apple, and PayPal. That he doesn't have standing.
Right, exactly right. Not only does he not have standing to contest it, but really he doesn't have any expectation of privacy. I mean, he has opened the door by utilizing those different devices, by utilizing Apple, by utilizing, Amazon. I mean, all of that, he is disclosing information that is routinely gathered by third-party applications everywhere. You can't claim that you have some sort of expectation of privacy to that information when you've already disclosed it to another business. So, he's going to have a really hard time. Now, one of the arguments he could try and make is that, it doesn't fall within the scope of discovery, which, the scope of discovery is anything that could be relevant, that could lead to evidence that would be admissible, at trial. And that might be an argument that he could try and go down, but I think that's really far-fetched too, because this is clearly information that could be relevant and could be admissible at trial. I don't see how it wouldn't be. Not only is it showing us what he's thinking at the time, but it could be helpful to showing what his motive was, what his plan was, what his strategy on how to commit these crimes was. So, I really think that there's no position that he can take here, like you said, to prevent the state from going after and obtaining this evidence on any of those grounds at all.
So that's coming into evidence. Just an example of why I'm so interested in all of his clicks. How do I know what videos he downloaded? We all remember the case of the beautiful young mom, Anna Walsh. Her husband said she caught a flight for work on New Year's morning. Okay. Well, there was no record of her ever catching a flight at the airport. She seemingly vanished into thin air. But what do his Google searches reveal? Hold on, wait for it. Quote, how long before a body starts to smell? Here's another one. Hacksaw, best tool to dismember. Here's another one for you to just think about tonight as you fall asleep. 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. Like what? There's a dead body you don't need to get rid of? 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. Okay, let's let that just sink in. How long till a dead body starts to smell? That's why I want to know his Google searches. So how difficult is it, Lee Reber? Of course, everybody tries to delete. I have texts that are like 5 years old still. Lee Reber, how difficult is it to really delete something? I mean, can you delete things like that? How long does it take for a dead body to begin to smell? I mean, if you hit delete, doesn't it just go in the delete file?
Yeah, I mean, if you have their computer, obviously you can have the searches and you'll be able to locate the searches on the computer relatively easy. If you don't have the computer, Google is probably the best location or the best way because everyone uses Google, and Google loves to store all your information so they can sell you ads. And so I would imagine if you search for hacksaws and what's the best way, you're going to get a whole bunch of ads about purchasing hacksaws. But, seriously, finding that information on a computer or even on that cloud service is relatively easy for a forensic examiner.
So even when you delete something, it's still going to be in the cloud, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. To give you an example, even if you're not taking, or utilizing GPS or not using a running application, Google will store your routes as you're driving around, you're walking around, you're running, store those locations within your Google profile, even if you're not using tracking software.
Well, I've got the two of you. Let me ask you an entirely private question. The other day, I was talking to David about, I don't even know what, the twin schedule. And I looked over and Alexa was pulsing green. And I thought, okay, obviously she's telling the Chinese all about my personal life. But what about that? What if Kohberger has an Alexa? Is it constantly listening?
I could tell you 100% that it is. And because it's always listening, because it has to hear that keyword, right? That you've either utilized to run a task. It has to always be listening.
Okay, you're scaring me, Reber. I have some very good friends. And let me tell you, I mean, smart. They're convinced that the government's spying on them. Why? I don't know. Between all of their children and all of their dogs and their guinea pigs and their this and their that. But they're convinced. They got rid of Alexa because she's a spy. Actually, you're scaring me. Of course, I'm not getting rid of Alexa. I'll be mad if the Chinese do not listen to my conversations with David about the twin schedule. Okay, that aside, we're going to trial, Kohberger. Tara Malik, high-profile lawyer joining us out of the Idaho jurisdiction. Lee Reber, mobile device forensic expert. Thank you for being with us, and we are headed to trial. Goodbye, friends. Guys, thank you for watching Crime Online with Nancy Grace here on YouTube. To get the very latest, subscribe to Crime Online here